Well, hey, Good Life family, thank you so much for tuning in for today's 128 moment. This past weekend was the 20th anniversary of the attack on the World Trade Center, also the Pentagon, and then the plane that we know that crashed as well in Pennsylvania. It was the 20th anniversary of what we know as 9/11 today, and I'm sure that if you were alive then, you can remember it because it was a very traumatic event. And I'm sure, like many of you, that has been swirling in my head throughout this past week. And when we were reading the Good Life Journal this week, there was a specific scripture that popped out to me, and it made me think of this connection. You know, I think why an attack like September 11th was so devastating for us in America is that at least for my entire lifetime, whenever I heard about war or attack or anything like that, it was always something that happened far away. You know, it was always like either in history in the past, or you read about things in the Old Testament in war or history class in school, or we knew that there was war happening on planet Earth. It was just an ocean away. But on September 11th, that changed because a brutal attack in an attack of war was carried out on our own soil here in America. And I think it really awakened a lot of people to the reality of that. And I just think throughout human history, I'm not a history expert, but I believe that reality of wartime was probably a lot more real for most people across planet Earth, possibly even today, than it is for us in America. And as I was thinking about that on Tuesday in the Good Life Journal, we were reading Ephesians 6, and I think maybe this is beneficial to you, but it really was beneficial to me in the way that Paul frames this. He says this in Ephesians 6. He talks about putting on the armor of God, and then he says this in verse 18. He says, praying at all times in the Spirit with all prayer and supplication. To that end, keep alert with all perseverance, making supplication for all the saints. And this is the light bulb that went off for me. The Apostle Paul, when he's writing in Ephesians, he's urging the church, he's urging the believers to put on the armor of God and to be alert. And what I began to think about was that in a lot of ways, the same way that September 11th, that was such an awakening experience because war was no longer something that was far off or an ocean away or in history past, but it was here right on our own soil. I think that's how I was viewing this scriptural battle, this spiritual battle that we're in. It's often the case that we view it as something that is far off, or that we don't really live in it. Whereas for Paul, he's writing to people saying, no, like you're actually in the trench right now. So you should probably put on your armor. You should probably get dressed for battle. You should probably be alert because the war, the battle is not far away, but it's right here in this very moment. And what does he instruct them to do? Well, he instructs them to put on the armor of God, and he instructs them to pray at all times in the Spirit. So for you and I, my urge today in our 128 moment would be that we would have our eyes, our spiritual eyes, aware to the reality that we aren't just going to partake in a battle someday, but currently or right now, in our workplaces and our friend groups, we are in a spiritual battle. And the best way to fight is going to be for us to pray. So, with that being said, a great opportunity to do that is this Sunday, as we gather together as the local church to worship Jesus, to study the gospel, and for us to pray with one another. So we'd encourage you to come here. We're kicking off a brand new series this Sunday called The Gospel, where we're looking at the end of this Passion Week of Jesus, going into the Gospel of John, and we're seeing his passion and how it is our purpose as the local church to make the good news of the gospel known. Can't wait to see you guys right here in this room, 9:30 and 11, as well as online at 11 o'clock. We'll see you soon.